Let's put the wall back up. Oh, but wait a minute. I still want to see that vision. I still want to see that field. I still want to see those trees. So what we're doing is we still have this wall now, but that vision or that scenery is behind it. And we've got this wall. And we still want to see it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to cut a hole in the wall and put a window. So you can look out that window and see that waterfall. You can see through the window that brook. But back here, there's walls, so you can't see the whole thing out of that window. But what we're going to do is we're going to make another window in the wall over here. So you can look out the window and see the rest of the scene. Are you getting the picture? This is what her ladyship, the Lady Angelina, is designing for us. To be able to have that vision, that field outside, and for us to have a window where we can see that on both sides. Now that we have some space in between those two windows, the Unity Center, which has always been the wings, which is our minds being able to take flight. That's what we have here. We can now see our image and to see us beginning to take flight. Where our minds can rise to new heights. Where our consciousness can expand and just soar. This is what the Lady Angelina is providing for you, churches. And I wanted to share with you that experience of that exercise so that you all know when you come in and you see this, I want you to see the work as it is in progress, because that's what we all are, is a work in progress. Hello.
Amen.
Okay. Everybody is a work in progress.
Amen. Yeah.
Sometimes we want it to happen poof overnight like that, like ding. It don't work like that for everybody. Now we do have those poof experiences. But some of the things that we go through and some of the experiences that we have to develop through take time. And the way to move through some of those experiences for us to get to where we want to be is through this idea, through this concept, through this practice that we call prayer. You can pray your way through any and everything. I declare it's prayer.
Yes.
Whatever it is that we are going through, pray your way through it. I declare it's prayer. When it's time for a transformation, when it's time to move forward and you don't know where to go or what to do, I declare it's prayer. But in this ideal concept of prayer, what I really want us to get to is the idea of praying in silence. Charles Fillmore tells us in the Revealing Word that the silence is a state of consciousness entered into for the purpose of putting man in touch with the divine mind so that the soul may listen to the still small voice. It's a state of consciousness that we enter. We're always talking about consciousness. We're always talking about consciousness. But here is the first time we see what the purpose of it is. The purpose of this state of consciousness is to put you in touch with the divine mind. That's the purpose of the silence, to put you in touch with that still small voice. So when we're talking about silence, it's defined as the complete absence of sound. It also means to prohibit or prevent from speaking. Now, this is the thing that is unnerving about the silence. Some people get so uncomfortable when it's silent, when it's quiet. Get uncomfortable, they get unnerving. Anybody ever seen the movie My Cousin Vinny? Okay, you remember when Vinny was going to defend the two boys for the robbery and everything, and he kept saying that the judge kept telling him, said, okay, if you keep on down this course, you're going to get held in contempt, and you're going to have to spend the night in jail. He said, fine. He got the best night's sleep he ever had in jail because he was accustomed to all of the noise that was going on. When he was at the cabin, it was quiet outside. He didn't know how to handle that silence, and that's what happens to a lot of people. They don't know how to handle the absence of sound. Because it is in that silence where we enter that we can recognize and be in the secret place of the Most High. The closet of prayer within. Charles goes on to say he closes the door. And in the stillness of that meeting place, he prays to God. He communes with God. Let's talk about that word commune. And to commune. It is not to say, I want to make this clear, especially for the virtual audience. Most people are accustomed to the first Sunday being communion Sunday and taking the wine or juice and the cracker or the wafer, and that being communion, which is fine. However, in doing that, what is the purpose of communion? The purpose of communion is to, write this down, share one's intimate thoughts or feelings. And it is also to feel a close spiritual connection. That's what communion is, or that's what it means to commune. It is to share one's intimate thoughts and feelings, and it is to have a close spiritual connection. Now, if having that close spiritual connection means this and that, then by all means do that. However, I believe, I'm just crazy enough to believe that that close connection can be established in just pure silence. To be able to make a close, intimate, spiritual connection with God is what we are all here to do. And what we're doing with this particular group of messages is to show you and to give you different ways of establishing that connection. But the most powerful one of them all is we're going to look at different forms of silence right now. We're going to look at intellectual silence and spiritual silence. When it comes to intellectual silence, I want you to understand that it is mankind's concept of God that makes prayer intellectual or spiritual, depending on what your concept of God is going to determine whether your silence is intellectual or spiritual. I'm going to show you some distinctions in the two. Both are needed. Both are necessary. But I want to share with you the distinctions in the two. Based on how you perceive God, or based on what you think God is, based on what you think God looks like, based on what you think God does, will play a major fact in your silent experience. Because some people have this idea, this concept, that God is a physical being with a long white beard, long white hair that is in desperate need of a haircut, sitting on some throne way off somewhere. That's some people's idea or concept of God. Now, that type of concept of God is going to produce a different type of prayer. Because if the concept of God is way out there, it's going to take a long time for the prayer to reach there, and not everybody's prayer will reach. Now, if your concept of prayer is that God is a living presence right here with me every day where I am, then your design or your style of prayer is going to be different. Intellectual prayer, first of all, is one whose mind is fixed only on the intellect, only about book knowledge, only what you can read, the facts. What's that TV show? No. Dragnet. That's the one I'm thinking about. Dragnet. Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. That's intellectual prayer. There's not much heart to it. It's number two, it's about trusting only the mental or the material self. The other part, the final part about intellectual silence is that intellectual silence is based on the five senses. However, when it comes to, now see, okay, before we get into spiritual silence, intellectual silence is necessary. Because what it does is it gives you a base, it gives you a foundation, it's something to work with. Intellectual silence basically, are your training wheels. When we first started riding a bike, we had those training wheels on to keep us balanced. And so that we wouldn't fall over while we were riding that bike. But then what happens? Later on, you begin, once you got to going and got your rhythm, those training wheels came off. When those training wheels comes off, that's when we're dealing with the spiritual silence, which is actual contact with God. Number two is going beyond the realm of thought and words. The reason silent prayer is so important is because of our language. There are language barriers that we have right now that we're not even aware of. You want to know about a language barrier? Get a prescription. Try to get a prescription filled. You don't understand. You don't know how to pronounce some of those words. But they're words, yet anyway, they're still words. They're part of language. There are things that we say in Michigan that people in South Carolina don't say. Pop and soda. It's the same thing, but you call it something different based upon where you are. So language can be a real barrier when it comes to prayer. Number three, spiritual silence is the awareness of God's presence. But in that silence, that's where we hear that still small voice. And we hear by the inner ear, not this. We hear by the inner ear. We hear by practicing, listening to God with the heart and the mind. We listen from within. It's that feeling that you get from being in that silence. Now, does everybody in the sanctuary have the book, The Power of Prayer? Please say yes.
Yes.
Everybody got it? Okay, open your book. Get your book out. Get your book out. Get your book out. For the next couple of weeks, make sure you have your book when you come to service. Those virtually, you can get this book. You can email us and say, send me a copy. We will get a copy to you. But bring this to service with you because you're going to be working directly from this book. On page 5, well, no, we're going to really start working with page 6. But I want to say this that comes directly from the book. Many people believe that prayers must be wordy, loud, and beseeching which is begging for God to hear them. Many people believe that prayers must be wordy, but I want you to get this if you don't get nothing else from today's message. This is of the utmost importance of today's message. Words are not for God. The words are for you. God does not need words from you. You're the one that has this concept that I have to say it this way, that I have to use this word, that I have to use this form of affirmation, or this exact order of affirmation. That's your stuff. That is not God. God does not need your words. Matthew, the 6th chapter, 6 through the 8th verse says, But thou, when thou prayest, enter thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, and when thou hast shut thy door, and when thou hast shut thy door, thy door, thy door, your door. It is so easy, and it is so simple right here when you think about it. When it says go into the silence and shut the door, that means shut your mouth. Means be quiet. Stop talking so much. For the Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Now, I'm going to take you directly to the book here. Now, we're going to work on page 6. The author of this particular article is the Reverend Sandra Campbell. And what she says at the bottom of page 6, no, in the top of page 6, today I consciously begin my prayer time by. I am going to give you the 6 things, or the 6 steps that Sandra Campbell uses for her silence, for her praying without words. You will find all of this right here in this book. Today, I consciously begin my daily prayer time by, number 1, centering on my breathing to quiet my busy mind and to relax my body. One way to enter the silence is to concentrate on your breathing. Your ladyship, I'm going to need some music from you at a certain point, and I'll let you know when. Number 2, she says, I close my eyes and repeat one of the affirmations that help ground me, such as, this is just one that she uses, I am poised and centered in the Christ mind, and nothing disturbs the deep, calm peace of my soul. I am poised and centered in the Christ mind, and nothing, the doorbell, the phone ringing, the dog barking, the kids, the television, the radio, nothing disturbs the deep, calm peace of my soul. She goes on to say, I continue to breathe deeply as I begin to feel relaxed and centered. Following the natural rise and fall of my breath, number 3, I sit quietly and I listen. Number 4, when thoughts invade my peace, I give them a gentle nudge and return my attention to my breathing until I feel poised and centered again. I am now in the inner room with the door closed to all outer distractions. Number 5, when I feel ready to return my attention to my breathing, I open my eyes and express gratitude for this precious time of sacred communion. Number 6. She says, I feel an inner knowing that my prayers have been heard, my needs have been met, and the way before me is smooth and easy. You will also find on page 8 a prayer for silence. And you're going to share this prayer together. I am now in the sacred place. That place where the Father and I are one. I close the door to all distraction, to all external issues. I surrender myself to the divine presence in the assurance that all sorrow is healed. The outpouring of healing and comforting love brings peace and calm to my soul. Infinite wisdom reveals to me a new understanding of my life and my circumstances. Guided and inspired, I find the strength to live each day with faith, joy, and enthusiasm. Dear God, this moment is our moment. In it, I express the gift of presence, and I find the peace that I am looking for. I open wide the doors of my being to receive the wonderful blessings and goodness prepared for me. Let's do that one again together. I open wide the doors for my blessed being to receive the wonderful blessings of goodness prepared for me. Let's just become silent. Enjoy your silence. And in your silence, begin to imagine. Begin to imagine a world of peace. Begin to imagine a concept of no heaven above us. Begin to imagine a concept of no hell below us. Begin to imagine these words in song. Will you share with us what that would sound like in song? Thank you.
Uh-oh.